Couple of former number one overall picks at quarterback trying to get their redemption. Jason Light, GM of the Buccaneers, on Baker Mayfield. He has an eternal chip on his shoulder. Now he wants to resurrect his career. Everybody was counting him out and saying he sucks. Lions GM Brad Holmes on Jared Goff, who was the first overall pick 2 years before Baker Mayfield. We're very proud of Jared. I never thought of him as just a bridge or stopgap or whatever. I always thought that was a lazy narrative. His confidence is sky high. He's playing at a high level right now. That's what Brad Holmes had to say about Jared Goff. Well, it's not a lazy narrative. It was obvious. He was put out on the curb by the Rams. They paid the Lions to take away Jared Goff.
Both quarterbacks were put out on the curb by the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. But they gave the Lions a first-round pick to take Jared Goff's contract. They tucked it into the Matthew Stafford deal. It was a 1 and a 3 to get Stafford and an extra 1 to get rid of Goff. We always thought, and I think it was the obvious take, they're going to get by with Goff for a couple of years and then move on to somebody else once the guaranteed money has been paid, and that's part of what they got the first-round pick for. It's worked out better than anyone could have expected, Peter, and Goff goes to Tampa. A couple of guys that we thought were done are far from it. Who do you think has more to prove, though, right now, Goff or Mayfield?
Mayfield, because I think a bad game or two is not going to get anybody to think Jared Goff is not the guy for the Lions. A bad game or two by Mayfield would make people think, and I believe even internally, people think, maybe he's not the guy. And look, this is not necessarily about Baker Mayfield proving in week 6 that he's the long-term quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got to stack a lot of really good games together for them not to be looking for a quarterback this offseason. It's very, very simple. And look, I think both guys right now are obviously playing some of the best football of each of their careers. So kudos to them, but to think that, that time after time, everybody was wrong about Baker Mayfield, or that people were, wrong in questioning Jared Goff. I'll just say this one thing about Goff, and great for him in absolutely turning the narrative on its head. Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams, do you think they didn't want Jared Goff to succeed? Do you think that they gave him this gigantic contract with this sort of questioning, oh, well, we don't know if he's the guy, so let's hand him $130 million? I mean, they thought that he was the guy long term. And then, for whatever reason, he didn't play well. Okay, I mean, we can go back and microanalyze why that is. And I'd say the same thing about Baker Mayfield, that, to call it a lazy narrative that people were wrong in questioning Jared Goff, well, then obviously you're saying that Sean McVay, started this lazy narrative by giving up on Jared Goff. Okay, so that's one thing. And then you turn over to Baker Mayfield. The Browns gave up on him. Carolina gave up on him. The Rams, if Sean McVay had aggressively tried to keep him in the offseason and said, you're our backup, and Matthew Stafford's 35 years old, and you never know, and I want you leading our offense, he would have signed with the Rams. So let's sort of forget this stuff about how the media was wrong about this guy, the media was wrong about that guy. It wasn't the media. It was a bunch of teams who cast these guys adrift.
I agree with you. Mayfield's got more to prove because we've yet to come to any real conclusions about him. There's been that 2018 looked good, 2019 didn't, 2020 they get to the final 8. They almost beat the Chiefs. The arrow's pointing up for the Browns. They get the Chiefs week 1 in 21. Looks good again. Doesn't win, but man, they're looking good. Has that shoulder injury that He incurred while trying to make a tackle, which he shouldn't have done. Throws him off track all of 21. 22, it's the weird Deshaun Watson thing. Goes to Carolina. Carolina was a mess anyway. Then he ends up with the Rams. Man without a country. $4 million or so to go sign with the Bucs. He's the one trying to rebuild himself and maybe get the levels he was never at in the first place. With Goff, we've already accepted the fact that his second act, hey, congratulations, it's working. But you know what's looming for Goff, Peter? When the Lions get to the playoffs, and they'll win the NFC North, barring some sort of disaster. They'll win that division. But when they get there and they come up against the 49ers or the Eagles or the Cowboys, and Goff gets swallowed up by one of those defenses, that's when Lions fans who got a little taste of what it's like to be a playoff team are going to start thinking, hey, if we want to go next level, if we want to get to the Super Bowl, if we want to say, maybe we can win the Super Bowl, we need somebody than Jared Goff. And I think at the core, Peter, and I was screaming from the rooftops that the Rams should not pay Jared Goff. They should not do it. And they did it anyway. Not that they'd listen to me. Maybe they wish they had. They came to the conclusion they're not going to win Super Bowl with Jared Goff. And for now, the Lions aren't even having that question. They're not audacious enough to think about getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. But once they start getting close to it, and Jared Goff does a Jared Goff thing, that's when the fans and the team are going to start thinking, if we want to get all the way to the top of the mountain, I mean, we know which quarterbacks go where. We know which ones can take a team to the top of the mountain and which ones fall in the Kirk Cousins band. Jared Goff's right there in the Kirk Cousins band. He's not going to take you to the top of the mountain. Jimmy Garoppolo's in that band too. Dak Prescott may be in that band as well. He's not going to get you where you're trying to go. For now, the Lions don't care. For Mayfield, the Bucs are just glad to be relevant post Tom Brady, but he's the one who's trying to prove himself, get the contract he's never gotten, rebuild his career. And I like what the Bucs are doing. I like what Mayfield's doing. As I said in the last segment, I think the Bucs are going to win the game.
Yeah, I don't, but I also think that you're right about the Bucs. The Bucs are far more competitive. I had them way down before the year, and I've been proven wrong emphatically with 3 exclamation points. Good for them. I think my feeling about this game is that, I just really like the Detroit front in this game. Maybe not so quietly, Mike, but I think we need to start talking about Aiden Hutchinson as a top 5, 6, 7 edge guy in this league right now. Not he's going to be. This is one of those things that, look, and we got a long way to go. But I think this is going to be one of those things where after a couple of years, a year or two into the future, people are going to say, how in the world could the Jacksonville Jaguars have passed on Aiden Hutchinson? I just think the guy is absolutely terrific. He plays with a verve and a vigor that is very Tasmanian devilish. And I think he's going to be really good for a long time. And this is a guy, and look, I love the Tampa tackles. This is going to be a great matchup, with that front versus 2 excellent Tampa tackles. So, I mean, to me, I love this game. But I just think that Detroit has got a little bit too much, both in the running game and defending everything that an offense can do for Tampa.
Sam Laporta, the great tight end rookie for the Lions, was added to the injury report on Thursday. Didn't practice with a calf injury. Mike Evans was limited for the Bucs. He's coming back from a hamstring injury, and also a pretty good chance Amon-Ra St. Brown plays for the Lions this week. He has missed some time. But great game and great look for the Bucs back in the creamsicle uniforms on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. First time in a very long time we will have seen Bucko Bruce on the side of that white Tampa Bay helmet. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.